Usually when you think of slow cooking meat, you think of big chunks of meat, but it works really well with chops too. 4/4 chops in particular, I love them. They're also really economical. The 4/4 is made up of a few cuts, so you've got shank, neck and shoulder, and there's also a bit of fat, so they're going to stay nice and moist as they cook. Now I'm going to sear these 4/4 chops off first. So some olive oil. I've got a roasting dish here, but you can do this in a heavy base casserole. So nice hot pan and then in with the chops. Good sizzle. Now I've got 6 of the chops here. While they're searing on one side, let's give them a little love with some salt. So a good pinch of salt, some freshly cracked pepper. And there are so many different spices that you can add to this, but my choice is allspice. So a good pinch of that over the top. So we need the base of this stew to be onions. So just some Spanish or red onions. I'm going to cut into 4 because I want it to be quite chunky. We'll also need 2 cloves of garlic. I'll bruise the garlic and roughly chop it. Let's have a look at our chops. Smells good. Okay, we've got some good colour on them now. And we'll just give them a few more minutes on the other side. Now to really make this a meal in itself and to add some more vegetables, I love to add some Swiss chard. You could also use some silver beet. The difference with Swiss chard is the gorgeous colour of the stem. Have a look at that, the colour of the rainbows. And I'm not going to get rid of the stalks. There's so much flavour in the stalks, so we can just cut straight through them. We'll keep these for later. And the stalks we just want to finely chop, so cut them in half. And because they are stalks, they're obviously going to take a little longer to cook than the leaves. So I like to add them at the same stage as our onions. So I pile them up and then finely chop. For the leaves, we'll just scrunch them up and we'll shred them. And it looks like a lot at this stage, but trust me, after the long cook, they will cook down to virtually nothing. All right, time to take our chops out of the pan. We'll just pop them back on the plate while we get our onions cooked. Now for the onions, we want to cook them for about 3 to 4 minutes, just until we get some nice colour on them, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Right, we've got some good colour on our onions, so we can add the leaves, and I love the addition of some preserved lemon. You don't want to add too much of it because it can kind of ruin your dish and make it slightly soapy. So just 2 wedges that you've taken the flesh out and you've finely chopped the skin. And this is where the acidity comes in, some red wine vinegar, a splash of that, some stock, and then I'll return our lamb chops. So we'll just nestle them in all those delicious flavours. Just try to ensure that they're not overlapping too much. And any of the juices that are on the plate, don't throw that away, that's flavour. So in that goes. And I don't have a lid for this, so I'm going to use baking paper and foil. It does the trick. So baking paper first, scrunch it up. This makes it a little more pliable, and then that can just sit in to the baking dish, and 2 layers of foil. So cover it nice and tightly. We'll get a tea towel because it is hot and fasten that to the side. This goes into the oven about 160 degrees. It's going to cook for about 40 to 45 minutes. Okay, the lamb is cooked. Let's take the foil off and the baking paper. Steamy. I love that smell. I love how I can smell that lemon through there, the onions, fantastic. Now, just to give this a little pop of colour, I like to add the grapes at this stage. I kind of want to keep their integrity. So just using some scissors, we're just going to snip small little bunches like so, and just pop it in and around the lamb pieces. And what I'm going to do is put this back in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes under the grill. And these gorgeous little bundles of grapes are going to blister up, and also the top of this dish is going to caramelize. It's going to be amazing. Have a look at that. The humble lamb chop has been given a spruce. It looks so good with all these blistered grapes, and the taste is just sensational. This is just one of the many slow cooked dishes that I have in my new cookbook, and it's all about jazzing up those old school dishes and making them slightly modern, just like this. And this is what it's all about. See this glorious little lamb chop? It's so tender. It literally just falls apart as you put a fork and spoon through it. I'm gonna have a little taste. That is so yummy. Some roast potatoes if you must, but really that is delicious just as is.